Ever wondered why people suddenly stop taking you seriously, even after you've done everything right? The answer isn't only in your actions, but in how your behavior is interpreted over time in social perception. Most people think respect is earned through kindness or hard work alone. In reality, respect is strongly influenced by psychological patterns, consistency, and how your behavior is experienced by others repeatedly. And before we go deeper, if you've ever felt misunderstood or ignored without knowing the exact reason, like this video, share it with someone who needs this perspective, and comment below understood if this has ever happened to you, because awareness is where this shift begins. If you've been feeling like your words carry no weight lately, pay close attention. You are exactly where you need to be. We are building a community of people who want to understand human behavior and social dynamics on a deeper level. Subscribe now if you want to be part of that journey. The first reason people lose respect for you is what psychologists describe as the paradox of availability. Human nature tends to value things more when they are balanced, not overly accessible. When you respond instantly every time, always agree to requests, and are consistently available, your presence can start to feel predictable. And in social perception, predictability often reduces perceived importance over time. If this idea is making sense so far, you'll notice even more patterns ahead that most people ignore. If you know someone who is giving too much of themselves and slowly losing their presence, share this with them. It may help them reflect on their pattern. The second trigger is the lack of a no. A person who cannot say no often ends up in situations where agreement becomes expected by default. Over time, this can affect how others interpret their boundaries. Respect in social dynamics is strongly connected with clarity of limits and personal space. Fyodor Dostoevsky once wrote that man is a creature that can get accustomed to anything, meaning people gradually adapt to the behavior they consistently experience from you. And this is where most people don't realize how quickly perception can shift. The third trigger is what Friedrich Nietzsche referred to as the value of silence. Some people unintentionally reduce the impact of their communication by speaking too frequently or without reflection. When communication becomes excessive, the weight of individual words can decrease. In contrast, thoughtful and measured communication often carries more presence and clarity. Silence, when used appropriately, can strengthen the impact and meaning of your words. Pause here for a second, because this pattern is often invisible to the person doing it. The fourth reason is the leakage of intent. This happens when people talk more about their plans than focusing on execution. When goals are repeatedly discussed before being achieved, it can sometimes reduce the perceived seriousness behind them. People generally respond more strongly to consistent outcomes than to repeated explanations of intention. That is why many effective individuals prefer to let their results speak over time. If you're noticing these patterns now, you're already ahead of most people who never do. The fifth and perhaps most subtle reason is emotional reactivity. If others can easily predict your emotional response, it can influence how they engage with you. Frequent or immediate emotional reactions in situations may reduce the sense of composure and stability. A calm and controlled response, especially in challenging situations, is often associated with emotional maturity and confidence. And this is something people usually only realize after repeated experiences. But here is the deeper pattern. One of the most overlooked reasons people lose influence is over-explanation. When you repeatedly explain your decisions in detail, it can unintentionally create the impression that approval is being sought. Over time, this can reduce the perceived confidence behind your choices. Clear and simple communication often carries more authority than excessive justification. Think back to the last time you felt ignored. It may not have been about your value itself, but about how certain behavioral patterns shaped perception over time. Social dynamics are often influenced by subtle and repeated signals. This is why people sometimes lose respect, not because of one single action, but because of ongoing patterns in communication and behavior. Now, if you've watched this far, go back and rewatch the beginning, because the first point connects deeply with everything else we discussed. And before you leave, like this video, if you learned something new, share it with someone who needs it, and comment below what part stood out to you the most.